Practice set 1, problem number 13. Determine the length of side x. Given that this is a right triangle, if we know two lengths of a right triangle, we can compute the third length using a rearrangement of the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem states that the sum of the leg lengths squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. In this triangle, we're trying to find the longest side, which is opposite the right angle. So we're looking for the hypotenuse. We know a leg, we'll call it A. We know another leg length, we'll call that B. And the rearrangement of the Pythagorean theorem that we'll use is the hypotenuse, we'll call it C, is found by taking the square root of one leg length squared plus the other leg length squared. Plugging in the values, we will put a 12.5 for one leg in place of A, that gets squared. We will put the other length 14 in place of the second value, it also is squared. Following order of operations, we'll simplify inside the parenthesis by squaring each of these numbers. 12.5 squared gives us a value of 156.25. Plus 14 squared is 196. Next, we will add those values together. The sum is 352.25. And last, we'll take the square root. The square root gives us a value of 18.8 when we round it to the nearest tenth. Each of these legs that are making up the right angle have a measurement in centimeters, therefore our hypotenuse will also be in centimeters as well. In problem number 14, they want us to determine the length of this side of a right triangle. The side opposite the right angle, what we know is a hypotenuse. We're given one side of the right angle, which means we have a leg length. We can call this B, and what we're looking for is the other leg making up the right angle. We'll call that A. A variation on Pythagorean theorem that will help us to find a leg length is to take the square root of the hypotenuse, or C squared, minus the one leg that we do know squared. Using this formula then and plugging in the values that we know, our hypotenuse, which we'll call C, will be squared first, and from that we will subtract the one leg length that we know. It has to be squared. Simplifying, we will take care of the exponents first. 47 squared gives us 2,209. 19 squared gives us 361. Next we subtract. Subtracting gives us 1,848. And finally, taking the square root, we will have a value of 42.988. Continuing on, rounding to the nearest tenth. There's enough in the hundredths place to bump our 9 up. So rounding this to the nearest tenth, we would call this 43.0. And since the hypotenuse and leg are in yards, the missing leg will also be in yards.